What's up everybody, I'm John.
I'm Isaac.
And I'm Charles.
And today on Cars and Cameras, we are working on the
Wrong channel. Wrong channel. Go on.
Get scram! I'm stuck!
And don't come back. Alright guys, I'm sorry about that. I don't know how they keep getting in here. I mean, we put locks on the doors, we keep changing them, but they're always in here. But today we're gonna be working on the Rotary ATV. So we'll give you a little recap and let's get started. As y'all saw in the last videos, our pulley system was a really big problem for us. We're having the belt slip, the pulley would just kind of open up immediately, and we're just having a lot of issues, and there's not really many parts to rebuild them, or if there are, they're super expensive. So what we wanted to do was switch to the Gopowersports supplied TAV 780. So Gopowersports has this, people use them all the time on their 670s and just 30 plus horsepower builds, and they hold up great. So we were super excited to use this. The only problem is the shaft on the Rotary is a tapered 1-in-10 tapered shaft, and Gopowersports only supplies 1-inch shafts for the TAV 780. So we have a machine shop, I'm a mechanical engineer at Texas A&M, so I have access to a machine shop, so I made this adapter for us. It actually, the fit and everything was perfect. You know, you can just slap it on and then 780 slides on very nicely. Very good fit, the keyway just snaps right in. It has a really good fit actually. Okay, well, there we go. The only issue is I made this out of aluminum for some reason. I don't really know why. Probably just because it was easier to machine, but you know, we're getting to think about this. We got some plans to make some more power on this, and we didn't think the aluminum could hold up. So another problem you can see with this is it just sticks out insanely far. It's actually only about 2 centimeters further than the stock one, but I mean, as y'all can see, I mean, your foot's gonna be right here. It's just like, it's too far. It's also gonna put a lot of extra stress on the output shaft for the Rotary. So what we ended up doing is getting the Comet. This has the tapered shaft and everything, so this just fits right on and will do exactly as we need. It's a lot wiser to use this Comet. I mean, look at that. Looks really nice. It's just a better fit. So here's our size comparison for everything. The stock one is absolutely massive. This thing really stuck out. And unfortunately, after we made the adapter shaft and everything, the new one we were gonna use was about 1 centimeter further out still. Obviously the Duster is our clear winner, and this thing is pretty great, and they're also known to be very tunable, so we should be able to get some good performance out of this as well. The only issues now is that we have a different belt and everything, and we have to face the pulley this way still, so we have to do a new jackshaft setup, and we'll go walk through that. So here's what our jackshaft setup's looking like. We're pretty happy with it. We're using these adjustable jackshaft mounts from Gopowersports, so we'll be able to slide forward and backwards and tension our belt. And then we're gonna use 2 more of them to do another jack shaft in the back, and we're gonna have to position that so you know our chain just goes from the jack shaft to the back sprocket. So all the jack shaft mounts are tacked in. It's looking a little bit busy back here, but honestly I think it looks kind of cool with all the jack shaft mounts. So yeah, all we got to do is kick on the old Hobart and start welding this stuff, and we'll see how it runs after that. All right, here's the moment of truth to see if everything's still lined up after welding it. That just slides in there. The bearing goes in the back. Yeah, that looks good. It's pretty straight. Through the driven pulley, and then into the sprocket for our second jack shaft. To the other bearing hanger. There we go. Okay, gotta get that in. Sweet. All right, it's really close right here. We may have to do a little bit of clearancing, but I mean, we're gonna have, you know, belt going to here, and then that's going to our jack shaft, which goes out to here, which then goes to the 50 chain, which goes to our sprocket. I mean, honestly, I think it feels really solid. So we got to use our little Harbor Freight mini lathe for the first time. Picked up on Facebook Marketplace for pretty cheap. And we need it to shave down the locking collars, because the problem is our carb made our bearing hanger have to be at a certain position, and we're just running into some clearance issues. Okay, drivetrain is all buttoned up. We're just tensioning the chain. Seems pretty nice. So, chain barely touches the swing arm, and then as soon as you sit on it and put any weight, we have nice clearances everywhere. I'm pretty happy with this. The belt's like really slipping. Just did a bunch of work off camera, but now our torque converter setup should be perfect. The issue we're running into is that our the centerline distance, which is the distance between the crankshaft and the jackshaft, was too far, so our belt was kind of too tight. What we ended up having to do was lengthen these jackshaft mounts right here, and that just allowed us to get the pulleys a lot closer. Other than that, we added brakes, so we now have rear brakes on this thing, so the braking should be much, much better. And all that's left to do is test drive this thing. So let's see how it does. So we had problems with our clutch not engaging when we started revving it up. We had to rev it up past like 4,000 RPM. So we ordered our new clutch weights. So the Comet 94C comes with extra slots, and we can just slide these in here. We can just slide these in here super easy, and this should make our clutch engage quicker. So at a lower RPM, we should start grabbing on the belt. Now that our extra weights are in, we're gonna also re-gear this thing. So I did the calculations for the gear ratio, and this is not including the torque converter. Our original gear ratio was from a 12 to a 14 on the jackshaft, and then from the 12 on the jackshaft to a 41. So if you multiply those two gear ratios together, that's a 3.99. And a lot of times go-karts are running 5, 6, 7, 8 or more. So we wanted to really increase this gear ratio just to give this thing a lot more torque, especially since rotaries are known more for horsepower and not torque. So what we're going to do is change the 12 to 14 to a 10 to 20, and then change the 12 to 41 to a 10 to 41. And that'll give us a gear ratio of 8.2, so that is over double, and should give us a lot more torque, and we should still have plenty of top speed, and we can always change this later. So right now everything's a little bit loose, but we have our 10 down here, so we changed the 12 to a 10, and we're keeping the same 14. I have to weld up this 20, so I just want to test it before we do anything, just to see what it's like. Since this is 40 chain, we'll have to redo the chain and everything. And then this 12 was changed to a 10. So we have higher gear ratio here and a higher gear ratio there, and we'll also be able to add this to get even more gearing. Another thing we're gonna do is switch out our 780 for a 790. The reason we're doing this is because the way Gopowersports has their backing plate set up, it's super easy to mount on a 670 or 420 cart for a Predator engine. The thing is, we're running ours inboard like this, while on the backing plate it's normally like this. So the spring in this one is backwards. So what we want to do is we'll just take this out and use it on a later build, but for now we're going to swap this out for the 790, which is the same radius and everything, and that'll just sit right in there, should be plug and play, and we should be going a lot better with our driven pulley. Yeah, that is so much better. There's a ton of slop in the chain, which is why it's super jerky. But that is a real working torque converter. It was a combination of everything. driver, driven, gearing.
Alright, now time to test drive it. Nice.
Still getting used to this thing.
Need some wheelie bars.
I know. I'm really happy. This is like the first time I've laughed driving a build in a while. This is a blast now. After the top speed, I'm still pretty happy with this thing. It kind of works like a 30 series non-juggernaut torque converter. So it doesn't really like shift super hard and kind of just keeps pulling at the top end. But I mean, this thing's definitely really fast, and I feel like if you just kept on the throttle, probably be going like 50, 60, maybe even 70, which is enough for us. The wheelies are fun enough, and you know, being able to go fast is also pretty cool. Super happy how this turned out. Our chain, just as tight as when it started. We did see our exhaust was glowing a bit, so we'll have to add some shielding on that. But other than that, we're super happy, and thank you all for watching. Thank you, Gopowersports. All of the Jackshaft setup, which was super important for us to be able to do this swap, is from Gopowersports, so make sure to check it out. Their Jackshaft sliders are great. And thank you all for watching, and thank you for subscribing. See you next time.